Hello, my name is Joy Ferguson, and today I'm doing a demonstration of a paint pour. This is a project that I have studied and learned about on YouTube, and this is one of my latest pours. So you can see kind of what yours is going to look like when you get finished. I'm going to lay this aside. We're going to talk about our paint. The paint we are using is tempera paint. Tempera paint is water-based because this project involves using a water-based paint mixed with oil. And the oil we are using is the coconut milk. It has an oil in it called dimethicone. And dimethicone will make our paint react with the oil, and it will cause cells to form. Now, cells are on your painting are the little spots on here where one color will slide underneath another, and then it will pop through, and it will make these beautiful colors of circular shapes, just like you're looking in a microscope in science class. Now, I've already mixed 4 colors, and for our pour today, we're going to use a turquoise, a purple, a magenta, which is kind of like a deep pink, and then we're going to use a bright orange. And we're also using white. And white is kind of like the magic color here that is going to make all this reaction happen. Each paint has a gravity. White has a gravity of 4.6. Now, the other colors, their gravity is only 1.2 to 1.6. So there's a lot of difference. White is much heavier if you were to consider the gravity. And so it sinks to the bottom, and the other colors will sort of swim around to find their place, and they'll pop through, and this makes the cells. Now, the color that we have left that we're going to mix is a dark blue. So in this container, I have poured some Floetrol. A Floetrol is a paint extender, and it's going to make our paint go farther, and it also makes it flow better on your canvas, or what we're going to be using today is a piece of very thick cardboard. All right, so I'm going to take this and I'm going to pour some of the blue paint into here. The proportion that I have used is about 1/3 paint and 2/3 Floetrol. This means that because I'm using the Floetrol like this, my paint is going to last longer and we'll get to do more pours. Now, each color has a little stirring stick. And I'm going to take a stick here and I'm going to stir this. Stir it together, and you notice that as I'm stirring, the color is really not changing. That's what is so amazing about Floetrol to me, that it doesn't change the color. It doesn't make it a light blue. It's the same shade of blue as I had before. I think that's pretty incredible. And I want to get it where it is mixed well together, and I want it to sort of run off my stick. Now, the way it should react is it should kind of run off your stick like melted ice cream, or some people say hot honey, but I think melted ice cream makes more sense to me. Now, I added just a little bit of water because it was still just a wee bit thick. And give it some more stirs. And there it comes off a little bit better. Keep stirring here. Still a little bit more water. It's starting to come off. There we go. Okay, now we're set. Now, I'm going to put some drops, 2 or 3 drops of the coconut oil in the blue. So I've measured it out here, and I'm going to give it 1 light stir. I don't want to stir a lot because if you stir too much, then you're going to have tiny little cells instead of big ones. There we go. Now, I've already put dimethicone in each one of these cups, except for the white. So we want to keep the white without the dimethicone. Now, here comes the fun. We're going to fill this cup up to about that high. And this cup is going to be then placed on top of our piece of cardboard, and we'll let it set for a few minutes, and then we'll lift it up, and voila, the fun begins. You'll see all the colors burst out, and we'll go from there. It really is, if you love color, you're going to have a great time. That's what I want you to know, because this is fun. So let's begin by layering our paint. Now, the first layer, I always use white first, because remember, it has the heaviest gravity. And so it's going to be first, and we're going to put it in our cup first. And I see a bubble in there, so I'm going to see if I can kind of, there we go, break up the bubble. Then I want to kind of do any order I like, but I'm going to start with the blue first. And I'm going to pour some of the blue, and I want to pour it carefully. I don't want to hold it up real high and pour it in. I want it to be, you know, I want it to kind of slide down into it. And you notice that some of the colors sit on top. So these are sort of sitting on top of each other. Let's see what happens when I put the red and the magenta. Okay. Now we're going to do the purple. All right. And the turquoise next. All right, now we're going to put another layer of white. We kind of want to have 2 major layers at least. And some people will do even more depending on how big theirs is. So I put another white. And this time I think I will start with the magenta. I sort of like to go from light to dark. You know, the magenta is kind of light, and I'm going to go with the purple now. And then I want to go with the orange, kind of a light color. Yeah, that looks cool. And now back to the blue again. All right. Now, I'm going to take this over, and I'm going to prepare, while this cup is sort of sitting, it's really good to let it set for just a little bit. I'm going to put some Floetrol on my cardboard, and I'm going to smooth it out. Because if I just put the paint directly onto the cardboard, it's just going to sort of soak in on one spot, and I want it to sort of run everywhere. So I'm going to take my spatula, and I'm real carefully, I'm going to smooth the Floetrol off and get the whole thing covered. Doesn't have to be perfectly smooth, but you want to sort of get all of the cardboard covered. Get it as smooth as you can. Okay. Now, then my paint's going to have a much better job of just gliding across. All right. Now, I'm going to take my cup in one hand, and this is the part that sort of is a little scary. You're going to take the cup in one hand, you turn this upside down on top of it, and then you flip it over. That's why this is called the flip cup. Now you can see the colors are all running down the sides. I'm going to let it sit for just a minute as the colors run. It may seep out a little bit, but that's all right. Okay, see if I can get them all to maybe tap on it. One thing that I have seen people do is even stick a little push pin in it sometimes and get it to run on down. See, the gravity's starting to pull on it. Now, are you ready? Here comes the fun part. All right, I'm going to take it and I'm going to kind of push it over to the side, and I'm going to lift up on it. Whoa, is that not fun? Look at those colors. Whoa. Now, do you see some cells starting to pop up? Now, you are the artist, and so you are going to control what you leave and what you let run off, all right? Let's look at this a minute. To me, see all these cells popping up? Isn't that cool? That's exactly what we want. That's the reaction of the oil and water. I love this part over here. So I want to try to save as much of that as I can. I'm not quite as happy with the orange. So I think when I'm tilting, I'm going to stretch the red side, and I'm going to look at that. Oh man, the colors are beautiful. There we go. Letting it seep down. See how slow we want to do this? And I'm going to run off, I think, some of the orange off the edge. I'm not real happy with it. I'll let that run off just a little. You see how I did that? Now I'm going to go back this way. But I want to carefully stretch that magenta. I love the magenta part. You see how the cells are popping up? Look at all those different colors showing through. If you love color, you are going to have a ball. Now, some people like to make theirs go all the way to the edge, and other people prefer, you know, showing a little bit of negative space, a little bit of white on the edge. That's totally going to be up to you. Now, see how I'm stretching the magenta? Because that's the part I like. Wow. This couldn't have turned out better. I am excited. This is beautiful. Now, we have to let this set for 2 or 3 days. And after it's totally dry, then you can spray it with a fixative like a clear gloss. Or if you have the money, you can buy some Liquitex varnish and use that. Now you see some of my colors are going off the edge, and that's okay. All right, I'm pretty happy with that. So I'm going to lay it down. Now it has to be on a flat surface. And I want to show you a trick that you can do if you want to add just a little bit of color to another spot. You can take your stick and you can go over here and you can kind of draw in, and you sort of want to make it look like it's naturally there. So you want to draw in maybe a little bit more of the magenta if that's what I'm liking. So maybe over here, I want to draw around some of these cells here and kind of make a squiggly line, sort of like this was in there all along. See, on my magenta. I can even make little lines and pull out some of the colors and make them look like they're, oh, that's cool, I like that. I'm going to go here to this side and try this a little bit too. I really like this one over here. Do you see how it's kind of blended in now? I think I'm pretty happy with that, and I'm going to just finish it like this, and I hope you will try your own soon. Thanks.